Do you find it easy to forgive people? I don't either. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Gina with Hope and Cope. This is a Bible study called the Serenity Blueprint. I developed the Serenity Blueprint during the years of my husband's addiction through the process of my relationship with God. The Serenity Blueprint is a 4-step process, and I have an acronym called CALM. It stands for Control Your Thoughts, Accept Reality, Look to God, and Maximize Forgiveness. Today, we're going to talk about step 4, which is maximizing forgiveness. For the past 3 weeks, we've been talking about the life of Joseph from the Old Testament. He's one of the 12 sons of Israel, and he had a really rough life. We've talked about that, like I said, in the last 3 videos. The story is found in Genesis if you'd like to look it up for yourself. It's a fascinating story. So many intricate parts of that story. We could never count it in just 4 short videos. But today we're going to look at how Joseph intended to forgive his brothers. So they sold him into slavery when he was just a young man, and he was a slave or in prison for at least 13 years of his life. And Joseph had to be managing the forgiveness of his family and the tragic things they did to him, and then all of the awful outcomes and fallout from that awful decision that they made to sell him into slavery into a foreign country. He suffered for those decisions, those selfish, evil decisions. He suffered for years. And so Joseph had to, if he wanted to walk in his destiny, if he wanted to be the man that he knew God was calling him to be, and if he wanted to be ready to walk into the purposes that God had for him, which he had laid out in dreams that Joseph had when he was young. And Joseph clung to those dreams and he believed those dreams. And the Bible tells us that God was with Joseph throughout all of this tragedy. And Joseph had to be managing his ability to forgive not just his brothers, but the people that had done him wrong in different scenarios through the times of his imprisonment and his enslavement. And so Joseph was a man of forgiveness. He wasn't waiting for people to be sorry. He wasn't waiting for people to apologize. He wasn't waiting for amends to be made. All of those things are great. All of those things are fabulous. They're wonderful parts of healing and forgiveness, but they may never come. And we have to be people that decide, because I want to be the person that I'm supposed to be, because I want to be ready for the calling that God has placed on my heart, because I want to be active and fruitful in other people's lives. I have got to stay on top of forgiveness in my life, in my heart, to where I am prepared every day to walk in the fullness of God's love, to walk in God's purposes, and to be the person that God has called me to be. And we certainly see this in the life of Joseph. Now, the Bible doesn't tell us all through those years that Joseph had forgiven his siblings, or the people that harmed him when he was a slave, or the people that harmed him when he was a prisoner. But because Joseph was so ready, when that moment came, when that light switch was flipped and Joseph went from being in prison to being second in command to Pharaoh, he was ready to walk into his destiny. And then years later, when he met his brothers, of course there was emotions. Of course he didn't really know how he was going to move forward in his relationship with them, but he had decided to forgive. Like I said, go back and read the story for yourself. It's a beautiful story. But he decided to forgive, and so there was restoration with him and his family. His mother had passed away when he was young, but his father was still alive. His father got to be restored to him and find out that his son was not dead. He got to see his grandchildren. This is Joseph's dad, Israel. And what a blessing all that was. But when the time came that Joseph's father died, then the brothers were insecure again. They thought, well, maybe now that dad is out of the way, Joseph will take vengeance upon us. So the Bible verse that I have for you today is going to tell that story. Our Bible reading is in Genesis 50. We're going to read verses 16 through 21. It says, "So they sent this message to Joseph. Before your father died, he instructed us to say to you, 'Please forgive your brothers for the great wrong they did to you, for their sin in treating you so cruelly. So we, the servants of the God of your father, beg you to forgive our sin.' When Joseph received the message, he broke down and wept. Then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. 'Look, we are your slaves.' But Joseph replied, 'Don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children.' So he reassured them by speaking kindly to them." This is such a beautiful passage to me. What it shows is that Joseph had truly forgiven his brothers. He was heartbroken that they were still fearful, that they thought that now that dad is dead, Joseph will come back and enact vengeance upon us. And it says that he spoke kindly to them. You can hear from a kind heart when there's kind intent. You can tell when we can read someone's body language and their voice, their tone, their words. It all is part of the message, right? It all speaks to us. And Joseph's tone was speaking the truth to them, that he had already forgiven them. And I just want to say to you, take a lesson from Joseph. Be prepared to forgive, even when people aren't sorry. This is beautiful that they apologized when they were reconciled to Joseph in the beginning, and they were already sorry for what they did. They felt like they were receiving punishment, or that bad things were happening to them because of the cruelty that they had shown to their brother. But also, they are apologizing again. Now, granted, he's in a position of power over them, but I do believe that they were sorry for what they had done. You will see telltale signs of that throughout the story before they ever lay eyes on Joseph later on in Egypt. And so it's a beautiful thing that there got to be genuine reconciliation in this family, but there isn't always. And for yourself, I've said this so many times, for yourself, for your own good health, for your own peace of mind, for your own sanity, for your own children, for your own destiny, for your own love relationship with Jesus, it's important that we truly, truly forgive those that have offended us. So this concludes my Bible study on Joseph and how the CALM acronym overlaid his process in his life. And I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have missed any of the others this month, go ahead and check them out. And for a while, this is going to conclude my Bible study. I won't be putting out any more Wednesday Bible studies. That doesn't mean I might not be putting out something extra here and there, but it won't be a regular Bible study. I'll be sticking to my regular programming for a while. And so if you do like this content, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe and share it with a friend. And I always try to put a little something extra for you in the description box if you want to go check that out. And I'm always praying for you. I love you. And until next time, God bless.